Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieKashian.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com, of course, if you love a determiner. And it is December. In December, you do not donate to the Dork Forest. You donate to your local food bank. That's right. Find a food bank. Go to feedingamerica.org if you're in America. And there is, it's a link. There'll be a link to that on the notes at essentially dorkforest.com, which is allthingscomedy.com as well, which is the podcast network. Aaron Foley's, podcast is going to join over there at, Sports Without Balls. And it's a sports podcast, where two ladies, Erin Foley and Rebecca Corey, talk about sports. She asked me to be on, and then she realized that I could not be on because I don't know anything about sports. She can come back on the Dork Forest to talk about sports, but it doesn't work the other way. So donate to a food bank. Every other month, donate to the Dork Forest. What the heck? And if you still want merch for Christmas or for solstice or for Armenian Christmas, you can go to the merch store on JackieKashian.com and get t-shirts and CDs and hooded sweatshirts. I have them in stock. I have hooded sweatshirts, all sizes, in stock for the season. What the heck? And this month, we have another sponsor. Remember, you could be a sponsor, and that's what Leanne Olson, who was on one of the last episodes of the Dork Forest of Geekiana.com, decided she wanted to sponsor the Dork Forest for a month. So, know in your hearts that Leanne Olson is a crafty, crafty dork, and she has a business called Geekiana.com where she prints t-shirts and sweatshirts and scarves and posters, and it's all dork related. It's nerdy, it's geeky. It's Geekiana.com. So she also has her own podcast, so you can listen up to that and order up on that. Geekiana.com. My personal favorite, Watership Downton Abbey, the t-shirt. And I think there's also a poster, and you should get that. So let's do the credits. Mike Rickberg sang that song you just heard. He's going to sing the Mexican hat dance at the end. He composed that. He sang in the beginning with Sarah Cohen, his girlfriend. That's right. Patrick Brady, gonna fix this audio, does a vital work. And, he also does the YouTube teasers that are on youtube.com/thedorkforest. And Vilmos fixes the website. That's right. JackieKashian.com is done by Braniac. I think it's spelled, it's on the bottom of JackieKashian.com. Link to that if you have any website needs. And other than that, let us begin. We're at the San Francisco Zoo. I'm here with Ben Aller. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing good. Yeah, It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It's clear and cold here in San Francisco in December. So we're going to look at the zoo, and zoofab.com, right? Let's do that. And what's your Twitter handle?
Ben Aller at ZooFab.
And I will, and that's what I'll do. So the fascinating thing is we are behind the scenes.
We are behind the scenes, yes.
At the San Francisco Zoo.
It's, not really night at the museum, it's morning at the museum, I guess.
It's morning at the back of the zoo. Well, of course, I'm at the San Francisco Zoo with Ben Aller, and he's talking to a guy about these ZooFab. He makes these climbing vines for reptiles and birds and monkeys, and he makes zoofab.com. But so he's talking to this guy, and now I'm on my own expedition, and there's a giant fucking snake. Of course, we're in a place that's a little echoey, but as a Dork Expedition goes, it's pretty cool. Supposedly, I am looking at a green anaconda. It's one of the largest snakes in the world, reaching lengths of 20 to 25 feet and weighing more than 400 pounds. Whatever it is, they seem to live in South America, and they eat large mammals, fish, birds, and aquatic reptiles. Holy crap. But he seems to be underwater. This is a water habitat, which is hilarious to me. And, I don't know where his head is. He's a big fucking snake, but he seems to be mostly in the water. And I can't see his head, but I don't know where the hell the rest of the snake is. I don't know that snakes, I gotta ask if snakes can breathe underwater. I didn't think they could. And then there's some macaws. I think they're macaws. They're red. Oh, Well, there's some other kind of bird. You know what would make a great Dork Expedition? Is video. Yeah. Especially when you're at the zoo. But I can wander around. You guys ever read Douglas Adams' Last Chance to See? Douglas Adams, of course, wrote... Well, there's ducks. Douglas Adams wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And he also wrote a nonfiction book about 10 years before he died called Last Chance to See, where he went around the world and made fun of not endangered species. He made fun of humans and endangered species more than anything else. But it's a great book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I haven't read it in years. I should get that one again. All right, I'm gonna see what Ben is up to, see if he's done talking to this guy, and if I see anything else interesting, I'll get back on. All right. So Ben, you have been to this zoo before.
Many times, yes. We've done 2 fairly large projects here, a bobcat exhibit and a giant anteater exhibit.
Cool. And then you came here when you were a kid?
Came here when I was a little kid, in Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too far from here.
Yeah.
And my mom, I always blame all this on my mom because she's a kindergarten teacher, and when I was a little kid, I was super into dinosaurs.
Sure.
And she was very encouraging of that, and so she would take me to natural history museums and
she's a teacher, so.
She's a teacher, yeah, and then from dinosaurs I got real into reptiles, so I was super into coming to zoos and all that kind of stuff, so.
All right.
And when I was a really, really little kid, apparently when she was little, she was freaked out by bugs and snakes and spiders and stuff like that.
Because she's human. Yes. Yeah. And okay.
And she didn't want me to.
Oh, she didn't want you to freak out?
Yeah, she didn't want to, project her fears onto me or whatever. So apparently, when I was a little baby in my stroller and stuff, she would put bugs in my hand and spiders on my hand and stuff like that.
So you get used to it.
So I would get used to it and talk to me about them and stuff like that. So it's all her fault.
Yeah, good for her.
I blame her.
And
Thanks, Mom.
So this giant anaconda, by the way, I have yet to find its head. Could you look at it and see if you see if you can see his head?
This is cool because it's like the only big reptile they have at San Francisco. Actually, that's not true. They have a Komodo dragon now. So
okay.
All right. Her head is back that way.
Right.
So. Yeah, this is a green anaconda. You can see her head sticking. You see her nose. No, you can see her nose barely sticking up in that back corner right there. See it?
I do see it.
And as the water moves, her nostrils are probably above the water. Their nostrils are situated on almost the top of their snout, so they're able
so they can't breathe underwater. They're not fish.
No, but they do. That water's not especially crazily warm. It's pretty warm in here. That water's probably in the 70s, maybe.
Okay.
So their maximum or the optimum operating temperature for a snake like that is going to be in the 80s. So her metabolism is a little bit slowed down
because it's winter and
yeah. And I say her. I assume it's a female because she's so big. But because the males don't get quite as big.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Yeah.
The anacondas are super neat, and
they
breed in these crazy balls. Like multiple males will come and get with the females, and they all try to get the
giant orgy, but on one
giant orgy, and they ride around in these crazy balls and stuff.
But it's usually one female and a boatload of guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I heard something on NPR. They were talking about geese. And how they mate, and how super violent it is, and how creepy it is.
They're super mean.
Yeah, you're just like, wow, nothing. Very little respect going on here.
Yeah, geese rape.
Yeah, they just they just rape the hell out of them, and good luck.
Yeah.
And then there's more geese. Yeah. So we're outside now.
Yeah, let's just cruise the zoo a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about. We'll kind of maybe follow the trail, and we'll talk about some of the older exhibits and newer exhibits and
so
stuff.
that's how you got into zoos? Is because of your mom, do you think?
I have personal problems.
You're personal, so you're just like, I want to see animals and...
Well, let's see. I was always into it when I was a kid. I focused more on animals than people. When I would go over to people's houses when I was a little kid, and they'd have a pet, I would go hang out with their pet and not the kid, and I would always get into trouble for that. I was very just interested in animals.
Did you guys have pets?
My dad was not into pets, but we got a cat. I got a kitten when I was a little kid. My mom was like, "This kid's getting a kitten," and so I had a cat. I used to try to sneak animals though all the time.
Right? Did they follow you home? By any chance?
Yeah,
Sometimes?
not really, but I would buy mice, and Mom was not going to smell the mice. I don't know.
There's animals. It turns out they're going to be alive.
Yeah, right.
What is that noise? Any idea?
That's an electrical wire. So a lot of the times, it's fairly disturbing in my opinion, but a lot of the times, they use what's called hot wire. You can see it along the top of these artificial rocks up here.
Okay.
And that's just an electrical charge that's electric fence, essentially, to keep those animals
From jumping up.
jumping out. So
Okay, because this is the zoo that had the people baiting a tiger. Was that it?
this is the zoo where a tiger killed someone, yes.
Right. You know why? Because they're wild animals, and you might want to let them be.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, okay, so there's some interesting stuff about that. First of all, those people were taunting and tormenting the animal, throwing stuff at them. And,
Yeah.
That's
not cool.
Polar bear.
Oh, there's a polar bear? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know what would make a Dork Expedition really good? Video.
Yeah.
But essentially, they're just going to get a lot of me going, Jesus Christ, there's an
another
animal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that is
So-
a full. I don't think I've seen a polar bear in a million years.
Yeah, and they used to have two, and they just opened up this exhibit. It used to be blocked off here. This is very, very old exhibitry work right here. This is this very blocky, very fake-looking artificial rock that really offers nothing for the animals. And this style, we call this refrigerator box rock.
Okay.
And you can see why, because it looks like the big boxes that refrigerators used to come in, and that's actually what they would use a lot of the times.
What are the rocks made out of if they're
These
not
are-
made out of rock?
No, it's cement, but
Okay.
they would make a form or an armature or a,
Okay.
a
They mold
skeleton.
them.
Yeah, and so it's a very generic style, which was at one time thought to be fairly naturalistic, but
It's not particularly? What would you
Not
do?
much.
I mean, should
Well-
it just be more roundy rocks or something? Or
no, well, here's the thing: you've got a lot of area there that could be usable for these animals. Well, of course, you don't want the animal to be, up on top or have any, possibility of falling off the rocks or whatever. But you've got a lot of real estate right there that could allow that animal space to climb, space to move around. You could do different foraging options with it.
yeah.
I would slope the back differently, and
So
and,
they could climb up and slide down and climb up and slide
and
down
then,
kind
and
of
then
thing. or-
provide more areas for naturalistic or natural plants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I know they have plans to improve this stuff even more. And what's really nice is that they allowed this animal to have access to natural substrate.
Yeah.
And
What substrate? Is that
that's
just
dirt.
like grass? Dirt?
That's
Fancy word for dirt.
yeah. Don't we?
Yeah, it doesn't have to look like Fred Flintstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that animal looks already more. Oh, it is a dirty-looking polar bear, but it looks definitely more at home with some greenery behind it.
Yeah, definitely. And the nice thing about this exhibit is it does give this animal a lot of space.
Yeah,
He's got
some wanderer space.
he's got some space. You can see how, like, they were able to put hay and stuff up in that corner.
Yeah.
Because he can get in there and use it as a,
A bed.
bedding area.
Okay.
But look, he really doesn't have access to these other sort of grotto areas up in there because
Yeah.
there's not really good ability for him to be able to climb up in there. And this zoo, is positioned in, the bioclimactic zone that it's in is fairly cool and cold, and
Right.
we're right by the ocean. We're in, what's it called? The Sunset District, which never gets any sun. And, although we're getting sun today.
Yeah, today clear and cold.
But see, this would be a nice area for him to be able to get up into and enjoy the sun on the days that
because he's a
that it
polar
is here.
bear, and he can take the cold,
They like the cold, but these.
and he could lie in the sun in
They
more
need-
areas.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
need to have variation of both temperature and habitat. Otherwise, they get stagnant. They get bored.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I cannot imagine.
There's his buddy.
Oh, and that's a buddy?
I don't know. I
that's
think
a
there's a
gift-
male
that's
and a
another
female.
one.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate they don't get to chat.
Well, I'm not
Hey,
sure
guys.
if they're. I'm not really good with sexing polar bears visually.
Right.
So I don't know if we've got
We can
male
give
and female.
It's
Or
privacy.
two males.
And if it's two males,
us
they
your
might
balls.
get kind of,
Yeah,
they might get grumpy at each other, I suppose, right?
There's that, and then even if you do have a male and female, there's certain times that you may want to separate them, the male may be getting aggressive or wanting to
Get on it.
copulate, and the female may not be receptive. So you've got that kind of issue going on.
Right.
But yeah, this is, you know, it's a good amount of space for them aesthetically.
Yeah.
Not that pleasing.
Right.
But so yeah.
But they're
so
working on it, right? Is that
hire me to redo these rocks.
right? Right. Exactly. It could happen. So, but this is, and then there's a train over here. What the heck? Is that just take you?
Well, you know, a lot of these zoos, they like to have,
Where you can just sit on
trolley
it and go
kind of a
through the...
deal, or
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's another one?
Yeah, they have a lot of polar bears here.
Yeah, they seem to...
Yeah. They have this newer grizzly bear exhibit up here, which is pretty neat, which kind of employs some of the stuff that I was talking about there.
Okay.
And, you know, there's been these really, interesting trends in zoos through the years, and starting in like the 60s, there was this trend called landscape immersion,
Where they were trying to bring them into their natural habitat more
well,
or something?
yeah,
or?
there's been shifts in the mentality of zookeeping. First it was just about, getting, you know, seeing these exotic animals that you don't see and getting sort of entertainment the fact that they used to fight, you know, polar bears and mastiffs and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was...
And then it shifted to this more like educational,
Okay, yeah, you're never
like
going to
the
see
betterment
this bird.
of yourself and that kind of stuff. And that was like early 1900s. And then it started to shift to, wellness of the animal.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of shifted again to an overall habitat awareness conservation effort, and as well as a focus on the animal. So this right here is kind of an example of landscape immersion. We have similar landforms inside of the exhibit that you have on the outside of the exhibit. So you can have a feel like you're
also
part
caged.
of
Sure.
right,
You're also
part of the exhibit.
right.
And-
It could look at us as well as we can look at it.
And this is a grizzly exhibit. I'm not sure where the grizzlies are, but I really like this exhibit actually.
Yeah, it's
the glass
kinda nice.
is pretty messed up, but other than that, I really like it because it's got a lot of natural substrate. Even though there is artificial rock work, they've
Is
got
that
these big logs that they can
Is that real?
forge. Oh,
Is
yeah,
that a real log?
Yeah, it's a real log they can forge around in, and you know.
Maybe find
I'd
a
like
bug.
it if you couldn't see the all the fencing, but
Yeah.
you know, 'cause the thing for me is that I feel like you know, our job doing this stuff is to create a connection between people and the wild spaces that these animals represent, and
Yeah.
it's a, you know, it should be like a neat
Sort of visiting kind
yeah,
of thing. Yeah.
you know, sort of a fantasy recreation of the habitat that invokes, you know, the complexity and the interest of that habitat, and hopefully gets people interested in these animals and their habitats, and maybe being a part of saving them, or at least caring if
Yeah.
they go away, you know.
Well, and
so
Is it, and you do more than just the vines? Have you done more than...
oh yeah, I'll show you some of the stuff we do. We do everything. I do everything.
I just saw the statue of the grizzly, by the way, and I thought
Yeah.
it was a grizzly.
Yes.
Wow. Turns out grizzly's not out here. It's good.
I don't see the grizzly,
And,
but-
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, we do everything. I do basically two kinds of jobs. I do, smaller jobs that we make out of fiberglass and, sculpting epoxy.
Okay.
And, that would be stuff for like aquariums, what we call inserts for aquariums.
Okay.
Artificial coral, small reptile exhibits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we do is steel and concrete. So like these artificial rocks that you see here, these
Yeah.
are all, well, there's some natural and some artificial rocks in there. This stream bed, that rock area where we were before, we do that kind of stuff. Like right now, I've got, you know, a huge, ringtail, cat exhibit that we're doing at, San Mateo. That's, you know, all big concrete rocks.
Okay.
And so
And
I
you
do
fell
all
into
that
this
stuff.
from like construction and 1,000 other jobs? Is that how it...
Yeah, I used to, well, I'm a skateboarder.
Okay.
And, I used to, I know it's a weird way to lead into that, but,
Yeah.
I started making skateboard ramps when I was really young.
Okay.
I was super into that. I was always into building stuff, and I was also kind of into art and, sculpture and collages and stuff like that. And then, I owned a skateboard park with my friend, and at the same time I kept large reptiles, big snakes, and all that
Okay.
kind of stuff. And, cause yes, I am.
Do you have any snakes now?
Yeah, I have.
What do you got?
I've just boa constrictors now. I wrote a book about keeping boa constrictors, so I feel like I should have boa constrictors.
What's the name of your book? Is it on Amazon and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really,
I'll link
it's
it.
a glorified pamphlet, really. But it's,
Okay.
but it's my name in print, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
And people, if they want to read it, can read it.
Yeah, and it's great too, because everybody like sees my name at the top of the book. Oh, you wrote this? Awesome. And I don't think anybody reads it. It could say blah, 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 blah. And
What's it
people would
called?
still be equally impressed. It's called, a care guide to keeping and breeding boa constrictors.
Oh,
Yeah.
catchy. I like it.
That's
It's
right.
let there be an acronym at
Yes,
some point.
right.
And
Well, the whole deal is they told me, because I had experience breeding boa constrictors, and I had a friend who was versed in their natural history, so we worked on the project together, and the idea was we wanted to write a book about Southeast Asian monitor lizards, and they said, well, if you write this book about boa constrictors, we'll let you write this other book, but that
didn't happen, of course.
So,
Classic.
Yeah.
So do you have more than one boa constrictor? We have to digress briefly.
Yeah, well, actually my thing is really monitor lizards. So at my house, I have a 3-car garage totally converted for Southeast Asian monitor lizards. So, yeah, I keep 4 species of monitor lizards.
How big are monitor? We have an iguana.
Yeah, iguanas are, you know.
Like monitor lizards? No.
Well, no.
What's a monitor lizard?
Komodo dragon is the biggest monitor lizard.
Oh, it's a kind of.
Yeah, it's a large family of lizards. They're in Australia, Africa,
Southeast
Indonesia.
Asia. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you've got on the one end of the scale, you've got the Komodo dragon, which is the largest, heaviest bodied monitor. There are other species that are longer, but that's for super nerds. And then
Which we are in. We are in, my friend.
all right, well then you've got Varanus salvator is actually longer. The water monitor is actually longer than the Komodo dragon, and Varanus salvadori, which is the tree crocodile, has a tail that is massively long and is longer than they're amazing, just crazy, amazing creatures. But so you've got that. And then you've got in Australia a species called Varanus brevicata, which is full grown, the size of my hand.
Just the palm of your hand.
Yeah. So,
4 ounces of meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's this really interesting family of lizards that occur in, tropical areas, and so there's
You have a bunch of those?
56 species, or depending on what week it is and what taxonomist you talk to, there might be 64, but it's, it's right in there. There's, the whole splitter lumper thing. I don't know if you know about that.
No, what is that?
Taxonomists, we call them scale counters, or I call them scale counters.
Okay.
They come in 2 grades, either splitters or lumpers. If splitters they want to break every species down into subspecies.
Okay.
Or further compartmentalize the different species of the animals.
Right.
Lumpers, they want to put them more together. So
Okay.
they say, these animals belong together for these reasons, or these animals need to split apart for these reasons.
It's like an econ thing where you're like, you're a bean counter.
Yeah.
Or you're a macroeconomics and
Exactly.
microeconomics.
Exactly.
I get it.
So monitors are my thing. They're super intelligent animals. I've kept snakes for years, since I was a little kid. And I love snakes, but for me, snakes are a lot more fun to find in the wild.
Okay.
Because in captivity, snakes don't do a whole lot.
Well, there's a lot of sitting around.
They hang out a lot, which is their thing. I mean, most of them are ambush predators. Most of them rely on camouflage.
Are they all meat eaters? Are they carnivores?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's some that eat snails and slugs and stuff like that.
Right.
And there's an egg-eating snake that has a cool thing in the back of its throat to puncture eggs when it swallows eggs.
What snake is that?
The egg-eating snake.
Is it called
an
an egg?
scientific
Why
name
wouldn't
right
you?
now.
Why wouldn't you call it an egg-eating snake?
Yeah.
We were in
Yeah.
Australia and we went on a tour of the tropical rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that showed us, he said, Australians, we're simple folk. And he said, you know what the name of that plant is? And I was like, no. And he said, see the leaf? And I said, yeah, the one shaped like a heart. And he said, yeah, it's called a heart-shaped tree.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, no, that's all we've done. We look at something and go, oh, that looks like a stick. That's a stick bug. And you're like, really?
Then who came up with the cockatoo?
I don't know, but that's awesome. What I like about our iguana is that he's a vegetarian.
Sure.
It's calcium-rich greens and some bananas and mangoes and whatnot.
You gotta make sure you got the good, calcium to phosphorus ratio in those greens.
Yeah, he's got a goiter. Do you know anything about how to get rid of his goiter?
Yeah, you need to expose him to natural sunlight.
He needs more sun.
Yeah.
You think it's more sun?
Yeah, because iguanas are really not a very good animal to have in captivity. No offense.
No, well.
because they get very large. They're often very aggressive, especially towards females, humans when they're menstruating. Does that ever happen with you?
Oh, interesting. It does not.
Yeah, no, multiple stories of male iguanas attacking female humans.
I have told this story many times on the Dork Forest, and allow me to tell it to you now.
Yes,
which
please
is
do.
the one time Tiberius got aggro. Tiberius Gracchus. He's named after the Roman general Tiberius Gracchus.
Gotcha.
And so he likes to hang out in the garden, and he kind of pads around and hides in the zucchini.
Sure.
And he has a lovely time.
Yeah.
So I'm working in the garden and he's following me around, and the one time he got aggro with me is because he's been aggro with Andy a couple of times,
Sure.
but we've had him for 17 years.
Sure. Oh, so you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Right.
And but his he sort of charged me, but he's not fat. Like I could have outrun him.
Right.
And what I did was I put the shovel in front of my foot, and he got to the shovel and he was like, "Well, thank God she's gone." Because he's not very bright.
Sure, yeah.
And,
can't see around the shovel.
You can't see around the shovel. He's very, and he's short. And then the second time he did it, I was like, and we're done. Yeah. And then I just, threw a towel over him and shoved him back in his kennel. Yeah. But that's the only time he's ever gotten aggro with me. He's usually very sweet.
Well, the deal is, iguanas are tough because they need sunlight to process vitamin D3. Mm-hmm. Most, carnivorous animals get that through eating whole-bodied, prey items.
Oh, okay.
And because they don't eat whole-bodied prey items, although they will eat a pinky mouse or something like that every now and then. And
right. He's not getting it from me.
Yeah, there are reports of them eating like McDonald's hamburgers in the, in the
wild?
In the wild where they're like
down in Florida where there's a million of them.
That's true. Yeah. So, but in captivity it's really tough because you have to find that balance, like you said, with the certain greens and all that kind of stuff, and you need supplementation and artificial light that does some manner of recreating natural light.
He's got a light,
right.
and then Andy has him out at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's good. And you're in LA, and that's probably why he's lived to be 17. These iguanas can live to be 40 years old, but most people in captivity, they say, "Oh, I had him for 5 years, and then he passed away. I did pretty good." It's more like, no, you killed him slowly.
Right. Well,
So,
his sort of crush mates or his egg mates or whatever. Because what happened, Andy was
clutch mates.
Clutch mates. There we go. I'm looking for an egg tuck. It's I don't think we're going to see the bear. Okay, but
we're moving on.
We're moving on.
Talking
and moving. So, but Andy was working at Sony PlayStation, and this guy came in with 3 iguanas.
Right.
He had bought 3 iguanas because he's a maroon, and he had him in this terrarium thing, and he was like, I don't think I can have 3. And so Andy took one, and this other guy took one, and the other two, they killed him almost immediately.
Yeah.
And Andy said, because he's very patient, so I think you have to be patient with reptiles, because...
Well, definitely. Yeah, and the thing is, it's tough for people with reptiles because reptiles have a fixed expression. They don't have facial expressions, and people are really into facial expressions. They need facial expressions to be able to tell, like, the mood or,
sort of
demeanor or whatever. Even though, once you get to know reptiles, they really do have a lot of behaviors and physical traits that allow you to read their mood and all that kind of stuff. But it's really tough. And then the other thing is that those animals do a really good job of hiding when they're sick, because when you're sick in the wild, you're food.
Yeah.
So they hide that they aren't doing good, they hide that they aren't doing good, and then by the time they're showing signs of not doing good, they're really on their way out.
Well, that's what that's because Andy was like, we're probably...
Peccary.
What's a peccary?
So it's like a hog kind of a deal.
Weird!
And look, there's babies.
Oh my gosh!
Peccaries.
Wait, they look like boars.
Yeah.
Like wild boars. Yeah. So, are they good eating? Sorry.
I imagine they are. No.
Yeah.
No, you would think that I would be anti-hunting or whatever, but I'm not. I do think some, there's a necessity for some hunting, and
oh, for sure.
I'm not. I only want to shoot an animal with a camera, but
right. There are babies. Look at the cute
they're
babies.
They're awfully cute.
They're very cute.
Babies are always cute.
Always doesn't matter what kind of animal.
Yeah.
That's a good looking, and they do it on purpose.
Yeah, look at that.
So that you don't kill them.
Yeah.
It's right. Like human babies are cute, so that you don't
Human babies freak me out. I'll take lizard babies any day. Human babies, they have the long fingers, that alien looking.
Babies? Human babies?
Yeah, it freaks me out.
How long their fingers are?
Yeah, that's all I can look at when I see a baby. All my friends have to trick me into holding their babies.
Oh, I'll tell you something. Whenever I'm handed a baby, I have this to say. I will only be handed a newborn or anything under the age of 3 months while seated.
Oh, right.
Because I get terrified that I'm
Yeah.
going to drop the
Me
damn
too.
thing.
All my muscles clench.
Or I'm going to slam it like it's a football. I don't know, like I have like
I don't
that
have
weird...
but...
Well, I mean, that seems rude. But I was just like, I don't know, I don't want to break anything. And
Yeah, I'm
is-
right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
It's, there was a Make-A-Wish kid who wanted to go hunting bears in Alaska. That
I
was
think I saw something about
It was
that.
probably 15 years ago, and people were all up in arms about it. And I was like, it's not like he wants someone to hold down a bear,
Right.
or he wants to kill the last bear.
Right.
And it could be
Well,
worse.
I do think it's, anything that gets people involved and interested in animals, habitats, behaviors, seasons, that kind of stuff. I mean, you hope that people who are hunting would want those animals to be there for future generations.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is we've upset the ecosystem massively, and some
So
animals
hard.
do need to be cold. Stuff like deer in a lot of places
Yeah,
are very
and
destructive.
rabbits.
Very destructive. So,
and good eating. So there's no reason not to. I mean,
right.
there was a guy in Arkansas that I met who would go hunting deer with his truck.
Oh, wow.
when
hit them with the
Yes, because it was not deer
Wow.
season.
Oh.
And the cops were,
yeah.
and he said the cops knew, and they were like, not cool, not cool. And he goes, there's a lot of deer. And I was like, it doesn't seem effective.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta constantly get your truck fixed. And he said, oh no, I gotta set up, the grill is set up. And I was like, well, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, that's
And,
great.
I mean, people are, like, I'm not a hunter myself.
Right.
I don't think that I should be allowed guns, personally, because I would kill myself immediately.
Yeah, I don't have any guns either.
Yeah, there's no need for me to have guns. I'll go to the arcave. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
there you go.
That's my
There you go.
shooting.
There
I'd
you
like
go.
to shoot things, but I'm a huge liberal who enjoys guns.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do?
I
They're
feel
fun.
like
They
it's
make a big noise.
As long as the cops have guns, the people should have guns. I just don't particularly want them.
Yeah, I don't
need it. I got enough.
I got enough. Someone will take it from me and beat me to death.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure if I had a gun.
Right.
So yeah, it's a nice day.
Oh, it's a gorgeous day. I know I was worried because it rained last night. I thought we might get a little drizzly, but it's actually pretty
seem all
nice.
right.
And San Francisco seems to, survive this cold snap, no problem. So
Yeah.
It avoided it. But
There's so much natural trees and habitat and stuff like that. It's kind of awesome.
yeah, that's what's really great about this. And there's a ton of all these open spaces that have a lot of potential for new stuff.
Oh, right,
So-
because they don't have exhibits or animals everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sort of parkland
There is.
more than anything else. What's a little buffer?
I think that's the train.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I think
Buffer is
you're
the
right.
train. Yeah.
I think you are correct.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, we're going to walk around and we'll check out some of the exhibits that I did. And
What'd you do?
I did the giant anteater. Actually, it was just like a renovation of existing old paddocks. So it wasn't like a complete, ground up exhibit. We just sort of worked with what they had and the budget that they had to try to improve,
sort of enhance them.
the areas. But it was a good foot in the door.
Yeah.
Job
Have
to
you
do
done
here, so.
stuff from the ground up?
Oh yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're doing right now with the
In the
let's-
San Mateo, or?
Yeah, San Mateo, we're doing that. I did a bat exhibit in Palo Alto at the kids zoo there from the ground up, and
Wow, bats!
yeah, bats are fun. Yeah, we did a really neat cave where it's an indoor exhibit. It looks like when you walk into the place, makes you feel like you're in the cave, looking out the mouth of the cave.
Okay.
And we made it so fruit bats, so they could fly around in there, and it's pretty neat. There's a
All right.
capybara around here somewhere, and a bunch of
These are-
mean rapist geese.
Here's some seriously.
This dude
That is
cool,
a
though.
good-looking bird, man.
Yeah.
You should take a picture of that. I don't have a camera that does that.
Any bird with red and black. Really, any animal with a combo of red and black is pretty cool.
Yeah,
think.
what kind of, where is this animal being kept
You
in the
got me
wild?
on that one.
It's,
You've got me on. I don't know.
of course
what
now
this
it
is.
needs to scratch. There you are. Hey, buddy. You're a very good-looking bird.
I'm not sure what that is.
You
I'm
get-
good with. I'm real good with reptiles.
And is that an ostrich? What is that?
Yeah, that's enough.
That's just alright. You're fairly good with it's a capybara. No, that seems to be some sort of a rodent-y
Yeah.
kind of koala-y kind of thing.
So that's what the anaconda would be.
Okay. Oh, that giant snake.
Yep.
So do you sort of cuddle the snakes?
No,
Do you
no.
handle them much, or do you just kind of hang
I
out?
handle them when I need to, but
Right.
For me, it's more about learning about them and
Sort of watching
oh,
their
here's one of
lives?
the giant anteaters. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We built they have 3, and they're super interesting. They use their tail like a blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
They're
all
really,
curled up
really
in himself.
cool. Yeah, and they call them knuckle walkers. There's like a cool scientific name for that, but I can't remember what it is. But because they have these really cool claws, but they kind of point back and they sort of walk on their knuckles.
Huh.
And they're pretty neat. There was an instance in South America about 6-8 years ago of a keeper getting killed by one.
Oh, yeah?
Nobody really thought of them as super dangerous.
Yeah.
And this woman was working with him, and the guy reared up and just sliced her abdomen.
Oh, just cut her like
cut
stem
her
to
up
stern?
and filleted her.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
pretty
one
crazy.
thing with wild animals. I always think to myself, yeah, you gotta be really careful.
Sure.
They're
yeah.
not, I'm not even good with people.
I used to do rattlesnake removal.
Okay.
And, so I handle venomous reptiles, not for like show off deal or whatever, but I go
Right.
to Mojave every year to photograph reptiles, and
That's a desert.
that's a desert.
Okay.
There's lots of rattlesnakes and lots of really cool stuff out there, and so my friends and I go out there and we do everything we can to not molest the animals at all, but
But
sometimes
you're kind of
you need
looking around to...
and sometimes you need to move an animal off the road or get it into a position where you can take a photograph of it.
Okay.
So, I'm fairly versed in handling dangerous or venomous animals, but, as doing exhibitry for zoos, I'm not in contact with the animals directly.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause
I'm in
you come
contact
in-
with the keepers and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but, their insurance isn't going to cover me
Right.
hanging out with, bobcats and tigers and stuff
Right, the
like
bobcat's going to be over there while you create the
Right.
habitat for the animal.
Which is
No,
part
they're
of the
gonna-
reason that I enjoy keeping exotic animals for myself, is I get first-hand husbandry experience, and I get to kind of like make decisions for my animals and provide habitats for my animals, and
And
it
you,
allows me to have hands-on experience with animals because I'm not, like I said, I'm not having hands-on experience at
right,
zoos.
you get to hang out at zoos, but you don't get to,
Yeah,
to talk.
and I get all the rad behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean,
Yeah?
I do. Yeah, I mean, like if we're gonna do a sloth exhibit over here, then I'm gonna go talk to the keepers, go see how they feed the sloth, go see,
Yeah.
what the temperament of the sloth is. Is he gonna, is he a real big climber? Does he have food problems? Does he have aggression problems? Does he have this? Does he have that?
Oh,
So I
okay.
can help, incorporate that into the design. So here's the interesting thing about San Francisco Zoo right here is this big fountain.
Yeah.
Like a big, round, old school fountain. This is how all the early zoos were laid out, and this is why I thought it would be interesting to come here. From the 19th century on, they would set zoos out, generally in like a taxonomic grouping, meaning, animals that they thought belonged together, either from certain areas of the world, all South American, all African, whatever, or just in taxonomical grouping, meaning, how the scientists
Put them together.
Linnaeus, style grouping. And they would all be centered around a main sort of large
Fountain-y?
round fountain deal, and it would radiate out. So you would have like South America this way, Africa that way.
Oh, like the spokes of a wheel.
Exactly.
Okay.
And San Francisco Zoo is set up that way, and the interesting thing about San Francisco Zoo, it's the oldest zoo on the West Coast.
Okay.
Not in America. There's older zoos, on the
East Coast, I should imagine.
But
They get everything.
yeah, so it has all this, this stuff has all been freshly painted, but it used to say pachyderm house. They used to have elephants here. They don't
Okay.
anymore, because they really don't have the space or the proper facilities for them, at
Right.
least at this time. But, it's
They
just
don't have
kinda,
any elephants at the zoo right now?
not at this
Just
zoo right now.
not until they gotta make something for them, right?
Their elephant facilities were in need of upgrade, and they made the decision when their last elephant passed to not have more
Well,
elephants,
they just
which is
got
a-
elephants in L.A.
Right.
They just redid that.
Yeah.
A big thing,
$24
right?
million.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw that bid. I didn't bid on it, but I saw it.
You're like, I would.
Yeah. But, So it was interesting because it's got a lot of history, and it has a lot of examples of, like, the grizzly bear exhibit is sort of a newer landscape emergence style exhibit. And then, like, that refrigerator rock is very, like, 40s, 50s style. And then this is, like, turn of the century, kind of,
yeah, more the earliest of.
Right.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So here's some of the stuff that I've been doing.
Okay.
I haven't seen this in a while. See how it works.
When did you do it?
It's been about 2 years now. I did this one first, and then I did the bobcat next to it. So
Okay.
this was an basically abandoned exhibit. It had some of these existing elements. The background is really horrible. Which I tried to get them to let me redo, but they wouldn't.
They're like, we don't have any money. Yeah. So we're just gonna leave the weird.
And they had this weird thing over the door there that I had to cover. That tree I'm really not happy with. But we did this feeder log thing here, and and this is another feeding station where they shove different food in there for the animal to be able to.
Is this an anteater one?
Yeah, and he's got a heated paddock in the back there, which is where he is right now, I guarantee.
Oh yeah.
So this was one of the first jobs I did for them, which was really had a big budget restriction. It was really tough
To make it work.
To make it work. This one was a little better. Here's
bobcats.
Yeah. So we did this tree here, and all this rock work here. You can see him marking the spot.
All right.
He's peeing on my rock.
He's peeing on your rock. Congratulations. So how do you make the rocks?
I start off with steel armature, and then we put metal lath around that, and chicken wire on top of it, and then we shoot concrete like how they do a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Gunite or shotcrete, and then we shape it. And we carve it by hand. And this tree, you can see I've got several layers on it. I've got the deadfall look going underneath, and then I've got the bark sort of on top of it. That branch that sticks out to the right there actually has a heated platform on it. And so when he can get up there and hang out on that heated platform, down here where the branch comes down like that is where the hay is. That's also another heated area.
So you wire these things so that
yeah. And then he's got a couple cubbies in the back of that tree that he can get into to hide.
Okay.
So he can be away from the public if he wants to.
Right. Yeah.
And then
it's a good-looking cat.
Yeah. Look at his name. That's an eye. He's supposed to be very mean.
Yeah, he looks grumpy as all hell.
He's cool. But yeah, on the top on that branch up there, I wrote, in the concrete, here, kitty, kitty. So,
well, that's fun.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff on the back on the tree. We put our, Z-Fab thing back there and all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, we do that kind of stuff.
You can do your own little graffiti as long as it isn't, doesn't look at the...
Yeah, and inevitably in all these projects there ends up being a penis and a vagina somewhere. So,
oh, sure.
Yeah,
why would a dick joke everywhere?
Yeah,
Let there always be a dick joke.
The bat exhibit we did for there was a big, obvious looking vagina on the cave, but it was facing away from the public. And when it was because we had put two pieces together that were carved separately, and when we put them together, we went, oh man, that really doesn't look good.
Who's the flower drawing lady?
Yeah, right.
Who drew
O'Keefe.
O'Keefe,
yeah,
Georgia
right,
O'Keefe.
Yeah, it was very much like that. But it wasn't facing the public or anything,
right.
So we were like, we'll leave it. And the director there is just, this super gay guy, and he comes in, and we're like, oh, he won't notice it. He doesn't care about that. And he comes in, and
he's
in
not
2
made
seconds,
of
he's like,
stone.
what's with the vagina?
Labia majora, labia minora. Well done. It's an educational exhibit from the back.
Exactly.
And
so we have to be cognizant of that. Got to not make things too foul.
Right. Good stuff.
This is another exhibit. I'm proud of this. There's things that I wish that we could have done differently. I wish we could have provided more time experience for people. I wish that we could have done more with the background. But again, this was, we did what we could with the space that we had and the budget that we had. And one thing I feel like is that I haven't totally nailed what I'm trying to do yet. It's, there's still all
It's a process, I'm sure, trying to figure out. It'd be kind of nice to make the coziest spot for the animal to hang out that faces the public.
Yeah.
That's got to be
Well,
kind of what you go for.
That is what we go for. And, you know, there's a lot of aspects to it, and a lot of elements to it. So these projects can be quite difficult. So.
Have you ever been to that wildlife park outside of San Diego?
Yeah. Sure.
Is that
They do a very good job there, and I think that's somewhere where the trend is kind of moving towards that kind of stuff, and towards stuff that highlights more local species.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum is sort of one of the best examples of that in the country, because you have to drive through the landscape that they're teaching you about to get there, and when you're there, all the vistas that you look over are landscapes the animals occur there. So you can see an animal in its enclosure, and then you look out and see where that habitat is. And they do a really good job of highlighting interesting species that, instead of having like jaguars or whatever, they have they have this cool thing called a grasshopper mouse, which is this tiny little mouse that eats other mice and howls at the moon.
What?
Yes.
Like
howls at the moon. Yes. It's a tiny little mouse, and that's how it like marks its territory, protects its territory. It's a snow leopard.
Oh, that is a snow leopard.
He's peeing too.
He's also, well,
It's that time.
I have to pee as well. So
I will be coming up to the bathroom in a second.
it's very exciting. Well, so what's that
Sonora Desert Museum.
Where is that?
Tucson.
In Tucson.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it in Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tucson's in Arizona.
Right.
Where
I
have you
go
been?
there. I go to Tucson on a regular basis. I got a brother.
Really?
Yeah, I got a
well,
brother.
then take Speedway all the way out of town, and
Outside of town,
yeah.
there's one of the best museums.
in the world.
Zoos.
In the world.
It's
Yeah.
one of your favorites?
Yeah, it's excellent. It's
Okay.
excellent. I mean, there's room for improvement everywhere, but
Right. Well, you know
but no, it's great. They do a really good job, and it's just really cool because you are in the environment that you're learning about,
and they go with local animals.
It's all local. And the Sonoran Desert is amazing. I mean, it stretches from Mexico all the way into, Arizona. You got the saguaro cactus. You've got all these interesting species, and it's a fairly fragile ecosystem that needs protection. It needs people to be aware of it. So it's kind of a neat thing. We got hippos over here.
Yep.
Here, let's look at the hippo.
Okay.
They're usually like out doing stuff with these. Might be cold.
Might get a little chilly. It got a little windy. Yeah, when we got to go in, it's squashy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bumping log. It's not doing much.
Where is he?
See the big brown lumbering lump in the water?
Oh, hello. He's underneath the water.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's not doing much.
He's not doing much.
Yeah.
What are your favorite, what are your favorite zoos?
Well,
Besides that one.
Desert Museum, Bronx Zoo is amazing.
The Bronx Zoo in New York?
In New York, yeah.
I don't think I've been to that one.
Yeah, they're really a big trendsetter in zoos, and they're a zoo I'll never work for because they have their own fabrication department and their own.
Oh, they have their own department.
Yeah, but I'm friends with them, and I get we correspond and stuff, so it's kind of
it's a good learning
neat
experience.
deal. But they do a really great job, and they have it's not beautiful.
Wow. Guess when the time to go to zoos is? In the morning, you guys.
Yeah, no, totally.
We got here when it opened, and absolutely every animal is awake. Yeah, that is a Sumatran, why are there different cats in the yards at different times? As part of our animal enrichment program, we rotate our cats into different yards. They switch expands the territory that they can explore, and the sense from other cats is very stimulating.
That's a nice way to say we like to let them smell each other's pee.
Right, because they get super bored because they're in a zoo.
Exactly.
And, but that's good though.
Well, look, this is the thing. I agree that a lot of these exhibits, can be boring for the animals. They need to be more stimulating.
And this is a good thing to do.
The fact of the matter is, zoos are important, even though I don't mean to get preachy here or whatever.
Sure,
but,
preach it up.
Which is specifically what Mary told me not.
Mary Van Note, very funny comic from San Francisco, and your loved one.
Yes.
And that's how
Mary.
we met.
Sorry, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Yeah. But the thing is, they really, they are doing something really important. A large percentage, depending on who you talk to, 50, 70% of the extant animals on the planet today, meaning animals that are here existing right now, face two possible futures, and that is captivity or extinction. Because of habitat fragmentation, habitat destruction, bush meat hunting, the pet trade, climate change, all these different things, these animals are facing very serious pressures. And unless people care about these animals, they're not going to know when they go away. They're not going to know when their habitats go away. So it is important for these animals to be ambassadors of their species and for people to be able to get some sort of a connection. Now, that said, most of the time when you go to zoos, the animals that the people are looking at the most are pigeons and squirrels. And the reason that they're looking at pigeons and squirrels is because they're doing stuff. They're doing their natural stuff. So really, what we need to do is get more to a place where we can allow these animals to be themselves and provide them with spaces where they can really be themselves. And that's what, we're all trying to do that.
Right.
And to varying levels of success.
Right. I mean, and I think it's a process. And 7 billion. I mean, when I think about 7 billion humans on this planet,
too many. And nobody wants to talk about that part.
Right. I just feel like the Earth keeps shaking, going, are there seriously 7 billion of one species on this damn thing?
Well, they've done all sorts of interesting studies on overpopulation, and the same thing happens every time. People go crazy, or they do. You're sleeping in the grotto back there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Lion.
No, it's a tiger. It's a
tiger?
A Murr tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How's that? Oh, he's blending in very well.
Yeah. That's what the stripes are all about, see?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's another super interesting thing is these animals that you take them out of their habitat and you're like, wow, it's crazy orange and stripes and all this stuff. How do they blend in? But then you see them in their actual environment and the dappled sunlight,
Yeah, you don't get to see them.
Yeah.
Because that's why they're that color.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
neat.
fascinating.
Pretty neat.
Now, do you think that this tiger gets to go down this thing?
No, probably not. Although,
even though there's a staircase.
There's stairs, yeah, but I don't know if they do or not. I'm not sure. Oh, you want to know a funny zoo fact?
Funny zoo fact.
Okay, so see how they have these moats here?
Yeah.
And now this is all new because of the unpleasantness with the tiger before.
Oh, right. Oh, really?
They just with the public. But anyways, so this moat system was developed by this guy named Karl Hagenbeck in Germany in 1909 or 1910, something like that.
Okay.
And it's based on what this German guy who did start some of the first zoos in Germany and was a very influential zookeeper and builder. But all these moats are based on his moat system, which is based off his guess as to how far a tiger can jump or a lion can jump or whatever. So the AZA regulations today are essentially based off the whims of this guy, which have proven to be fairly accurate over the years. But
because he's German, and Germans are very attentive.
Well, he developed this thing called a Tierpark, which is now what they call zoos in Germany. Tierparks. And it's a panoramic exhibits where he would have predators and prey seemingly in the same enclosure but separated by moats. So you would have like lions and tigers in the front and antelope in the back, so it looked like they were all in the same area, but they were separated by moats. People stopped doing that to some extent because they felt like animals were stressing by seeing the, having the prey right there that they couldn't get to, or having the predator that they couldn't get away from.
Right.
So that sort of moved away, but he was very influential and developed the whole moat system that we still use today.
That we still use today. Fun fact.
Yeah. How about that? See?
It is a good one.
Nerdy.
Nerd. Bring in the dorkdom. I like it. We're pushing an hour, just so you know.
Okay. And I told you I could bore you to tears.
You cannot bore me to tears. You can exhaust me, but I'm never going to be bored.
Well, we'll make a little loop and then we'll cause, we haven't even seen half the zoo yet. We won't do that.
Yeah. But, some of the great zoos are the Bronx Zoo, that thing in Tucson.
Seattle Woodland, the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum, highly recommend.
Right.
Seattle Woodland Park Zoo is
pretty great.
Amazing. They've done a huge job of landscape immersion. Right now they have one of the first solar powered exhibits. They're very, very innovative, very in tune with with trends in zoos, and really highly recommend Seattle Woodland Park Zoo.
Have you ever been to the Milwaukee Zoo?
I have not, and I have family in Milwaukee. You would think that I would have. Another zoo that I'd like to recommend is the California Academy of Sciences,
Where's
which is here in San Francisco in Golden Gate Park. And disclaimer, I do a lot of work there. They're like one of my big clients.
Right.
But they're awesome because they're a zoo and an aquarium and a natural history museum.
Okay.
So they have sort of all that stuff together. They've got an indoor rainforest, sort of a biodome thing happening.
Okay.
And
the zoo park's good, but the aquariums, like I love an aquarium.
Yeah, it's awesome because it's it's just it's not huge.
Right.
It's an all-day, kind of an excursion.
Sure.
But, it's just kind of everything. They do a good job of showing the interconnectivity of plants and animals and just the whole, biotope. Because they've got the aquarium, they've got they don't have like a lot of big mammals and stuff like that, but
right.
they've got, reptiles and birds and penguins and
the Monterey Aquarium.
Monterey Aquarium is also top notch.
It's amazing. Yeah. I had never seen anything like it. And then at the Mall of America in Minneapolis, they have an aquarium downstairs.
Have you been?
Yeah, I have been. Cause I did a club in that and they gave us free tickets.
Nice.
And it's got one of those tunnels where you walk through and the fish look like the sharks look like they're coming right at you. And then they go over.
Yeah.
And,
Cal Academy has that too, yeah.
Good.
So this is the exhibit.
This is the one?
Yeah. It didn't have this.
So this is the tiger exhibit.
This was lower.
And this was lower. So they put this bulletproof glass up or whatever. And, these nuts and bolts look pretty.
Yeah. But
so this is where it happens.
That
animal jumped a fair amount.
Yeah,
what, let's not. There are other people trying to enjoy the tigers.
Yes.
And,
we got otters over here.
Oh,
Let's go see otters. I love
otters are fun.
Yeah. Otters are great zoo animals because they're always so active and cool, and
they like to swim.
And they make funny noises. They're cool. Well, now we'll be over here and they'll be doing nothing.
Right.
But
they're pretty great.
Yeah, the exhibit we're doing, and
this is the North American river otter.
Yep. Where are you, otters?
Let's go on the other side. What are you doing in San Mateo?
That ringtail exhibit, and right next door neighbors. On one side are bobcats, on the other side are otters.
Okay.
And they're just so damn cute. There's one.
Oh, and there's a guy.
There's two of them. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, feeding time.
Feeding time.
Cool.
A couple of otters wandering around.
Yeah.
And a bird looking for extras.
Yeah, they just got released from their exhibit. Stoked. They're so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
they're
gentlemen.
real neat. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in the interest of time.
Yep.
There's cool fishing cats over there.
Fishing cats.
Yeah,
cats
you
and
want to see
fish. Yeah. What's a fishing cat?
There are these Asian cats that have webbed feet that they catch fish.
That's how they catch.
Yeah.
They have claws attached to their web feet?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So they can sort of like bears with salmon?
Kind of, yeah.
Whack.
Yeah.
Really
They got little ears. They're super cool. And they got a pair of them here, and I know freedom. They need some love, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find them.
Are these guys? Fishing cat.
Fishing cat.
They are from Asia. They eat fish, frogs, toads, crustaceans, snails, small birds, reptiles, and insects. Oh.
Right next to the water.
Okay. Hey, dude. He looks like a bobcat.
He looks like a bobcat. He looks like he's kind of pissed off and he's wet.
Right. Right, and yet he's a fishing cat.
Yeah, I know. And he's sitting right next to the water. Obviously, they go in the water and they're super into it. But I just love their little ears and.
He's got little tiny ears, and he doesn't have the sort of the fringe that bobcats do.
No, or the bobtail. But yeah, they're just really neat, and I just like that they look like the pissed off wet cat.
Ooh, penguins. And plenty of them.
Yeah, Humboldt penguins.
These are,
Yeah, we always joke when we're over here that these are the most aggressive animals in the zoo. They'll poke your eyes out.
There's 37 penguins.
Something like that.
There's gotta be 50 penguins just wandering around. Oh, those are ducks. No, those are penguins?
Penguins.
They're all penguins.
I don't know the difference between a penguin and a duck.
Animals are not my forte. And, and there's a dude.
Keeper. Yep.
There's a keeper.
Yep.
They're good-looking penguins.
They are.
Yeah. They're outstanding in their field.
They are outstanding in their field. All right, let's go over and we'll see the mandrills with the shiny, the big, colorful butts.
What's a mandrill? Vine King, oh gosh.
A
hyena or something? Or?
No. They're hold your horses, we'll go see them.
All right. What are they called?
Mandrills.
Mandrills, okay. I'll clean this up in post. I won't.
Okay, good.
I don't have that kind of,
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Mary's like, you better just talk for an hour and then cut it off. Because I don't think she edits. I'm like, well, she must do a good job editing because I'm sure she edits.
I do a little bit. I just do a notes section. And then, because I say a lot, I might chop out a couple uhs.
Yeah. That's cool. That's all.
Hello, toddler. There we go. And, why are there some parts of the driveway squashing?
Because they have them around the statues, because little kids like to climb on the statues.
Oh, okay.
And if they fall on concrete, parents might sue.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's all about avoiding the lawsuit.
Yeah. It's, I bet. Think about it, because there's so many kids. Yeah. And kids are, Andy and I got to feed the hippos. There were kids who were like, well, how come we can't feed the hippos?
Yeah, right.
And the zookeeper who showed us around the LA Zoo and let us feed the hippos, she said, don't fall into the hippo cage, because you will die, because I can't help you.
Right.
Because if I try to help you, then I will die.
Yes.
And,
hippos are aggressive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
She's like, they have
territorial.
And they don't have good eyesight, so anything that moves, they charge.
Yeah.
And she said, don't fall in.
Yeah, right.
And, it was, but the rhino was sweet. And then this little guy. This little guy's running around.
These are just pasture
monkeys.
Yeah, these guys are cool.
All right. Is there a monkey? 12 o'clock, right there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a monkey.
Yeah.
Hello, gentlemen.
Let's go check it out.
All right.
Yeah, the funny thing about working at zoos is you get to hear all these rad non sequiturs from little kids.
Yeah.
And the best one was when I was doing that Bat Cave exhibit. Was the way the exhibit was positioned. Everything that people were saying anywhere near and any of the exhibits near was just funneled right into the exhibit that I was working on.
Just like a sound tunnel?
Yeah. And this little kid walks by. He's all pouty and angry. He goes, how come nobody has underwear made of cheese?
Just out of the blue. Oh, I know. A mandrill. It's one of those baboony kind of primates. Right, because they have very pretty butts.
Yeah, pretty good.
Right.
And faces.
He's just
like a statue.
He's like the thinker.
Yeah.
He's just kind of hanging out going, I'm just going to sit here in the sun for a minute.
I don't blame him. It's cold.
It is chilly.
There's a couple of them in here, but they're probably all doing the same thing.
Right. In their own area.
Show us your butt.
Ben Holler. It has been a lovely time.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed hanging out with you.
This is so great. So zoofab.com, where you fabricate things for zoos.
Yeah, you come, I don't really make products for, the public so much, but I do have, a lot of photos of how we do our exhibits and, us testing out vines and that kind of stuff. And
so
it's interesting stuff.
So wander around that if you're into it. And then he looks up and he has the giantest head in the world.
Isn't that cool?
Wow, that is a good looking animal.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
That is. All right, thanks for tuning in, folks. Take care out there. Bye.
Well, that show was awesome. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady, he fixes the audio every week. He also does the teaser videos on YouTube. So Patrick Brady is an awesome guy, and I thank him for his work. Mike Rickberg sang the song you heard at the beginning, composed and sang it with his girlfriend Sarah. He's going to sing in about a heartbeat for the Mexican Hat Dance. And Vilmos fixes my website, JackieCation.com. So support him and his work. Thanks a lot, you guys. Take care out there. Bye.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?